Alright guys, TouchGrubby back again today. Hopefully enjoying your Friday so far, and there is a predictions video coming later today for the New York home series which kicks off today. But today we do also have to talk about this Crimsix drama that went down last night regarding this gentleman's agreement, the auto tack sprint or auto single sprint as he describes it, maybe a slightly different setting that we'll talk about in a second, that he's been using in scrims over the last few days to effectively break the gentleman's agreement on purpose, just for the purpose really of proving that there's nothing really you can do about it and no way you can actually prove that anyone else is using it at a particular time. A couple of clips to discuss with Scump and Arcities talking about this whole ordeal, and then Crimsix responses we'll talk about in a second. Like, if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's just run through things very quickly then. So Clayster says last night, I believe somebody went rogue. This was a tweet from Aqua just before when, Atlanta FaZe were talking about breaking this org GA. Aqua came out and said, well, you know, auto tack sprint is going to be enabled. Little would he know what this tweet would come to mean in a day or so's time. Then you've got this from Wiskins. People are using ATS and trying to keep it low key. Mind's blown. These are next level scenes, Wisk. Sam, he had the cheek to go, I've turned it off now. Oh, you know, oh damn, you caught me. I'm done now. No way that was said. LMAO says Temp. Then Dylan says, about to turn my ATS back on for the rest of the season. So, you know, saying that if someone's going to break the GA, then, well, maybe all chaos will break loose and everyone will. If you guys aren't fully familiar with the gentleman's agreement concept, it's effectively the pros between them agree that something is too stupid or it reduces the skill gap to a certain degree, which is what they said with auto tack sprint, which is where you hold down your left trigger, or at least your left thumbstick, and you just, you know, auto sprint forwards forever at like full speed, double sprint, tactical sprint, that kind of stuff. And they decided that that was like it allowed people with worse movement to have better movement because it makes it easier to bunny hop and slide cancel and these type of things. So the teams decided to get rid of it, but well, Crimsix supposedly has been using it because it's not a feature that you can actually disable in the CDL settings or anything like that, and it's pretty much impossible to prove that anyone actually is using it. We saw earlier this season a few events ago when it did get GA'd, people accused Shotzi of using it, but actually he made a video proving that he, you know, he doesn't use it, but he just uses a certain other button combination to make it look like he does. So it's very tough to deal with, and I'll share a couple of clips here from Scump and Arcity's stream where they talk about the matter.
I just think it's funny the person that did it. Oh. Like 27, brother.
Yeah, I'm not.
27 breaking GAs?
I'm like, not fucking. I'm
the fuck?
I've never used auto tack sprint in my life. I won't ever. I didn't even like tap to slide, bro. Where do I get this MP5?
Here, you guys see what I put?
Yeah,
in
what a fucking scumbag.
Is anyone exposing him?
Yeah, everyone's threatening to use everything.
So did he say anything about it?
There's no point to prove it. He says he's not. But you can't tell me that shit isn't.
So Waskin also says, at Crimsix with the snake emoji. Crim then replies, 5 smokes, Dylan will be in heaven. Kind of saying that, well, if the GAs are just completely going out the window, then teams are going to start using 5 smokes. Currently, it's allowed that, well, in the GA, you're only allowed to use 2 smokes per map. Like, people use 2 stuns and, like, a flashbang or whatever they happen to use. And, well, Crimsix says, well, you know, if the GAs are going to get broken, 5 smokes on the map, Dylan's going to be loving it. 5 smokes would be absolute chaos. There's a good reason, to be honest, why the pros GA out 5 smokes, as maybe we will see this weekend, depending on how things go. Credit CDL Intel tweets this: pro players when Crim broke a GA. If you guys don't know this clip, it's the, well, I'll forgive but I'll never forget clip they're having at the beginning of the year, which is just endlessly entertaining, to be honest. A couple of things here from Maven. So, you know, he had this tweet out. I think Illy also did a tweet that since got deleted in a similar vein of thought. And Crim then responds, I'm a peacock, you've gotta let me fly. And responds with this on the Reddit, which I do think is quite insightful. 6 to 7 GAs created this past month. It's so bad that we've literally been throwing scrims so the org would stay in, implying that they've literally been doing worse than they could have done at losing scrims deliberately with the org in hand so that pros and other pros won't decide that it's too bad to be banned. I was using the auto single sprint, so I believe what he's talking about is that instead of using auto tack sprint where you move your left thumbstick forward and you just sprint forward at double speed, you just move it forward and you sprint forward at normal speed, but you don't have to hold it down or whatever. So okay, like fair enough I suppose, but I think this is still technically GA'd within the pros rules that they're doing right now for 2 days, and they lost their minds. But all of this is besides the point. We GA'd a setting that no one can prove, can't be restricted, and is game changing. So there's no way within the game to prevent anyone using this, but the pros seem to think they can trust the 55 individuals in the league for a combined total of $4.9 million over the next 2 months. So I think he makes a very interesting point here, to be honest. The fact that, well, he's been using this as he talks about in a second. So he then replies to Arcities GAs here, or he says, added another comment too. Also, single sprint, it was an experiment. It took 35 maps for someone to say anything about it. The average viewer time per player in a match must be 5 to 10 minutes. Don't worry, guys, I took it off source. Just trust me, lol. And, well, RST says, you wanted to waste practice to see if someone would catch you. Kind of sounds like us running an org for 2 weeks just to have it GA'd for no apparent reason, other than Censor posting a Twitter clip. We talked about this when we talked about the org GA, how Censor posted that clip, and maybe that was to do with something. He's actually saying that this is, well, it was at least a part of it. Not a single person showed evidence on why it was so OP it needed to be banned. GAs will change in 24, 48 hours anyways, so how can we even practice saying that maybe after this event or even during this event weekend it's going to go crazy? But his point is somewhat interesting here, that he's been using this behind the scenes in scrims, I imagine, for a number of days now, and obviously his teammates, I suppose, have been watching him, and his opponents have been watching him, and all this kind of stuff, and no one has noticed it at all. I guess Rambo Ray, the coach, has been in there watching it and this kind of stuff, but no one has ever noticed him using it, and that really does beg the question, right? If no one can determine if someone's using this thing, which is technically GA'd, then what's going to stop any single player this weekend or in coming weekends or at champs pulling this out when it matters and, well, using it, and no one's going to be able to catch them, and no one's going to be able to prove it, right? Even if it kind of looks like it, you know, Shotzi did a clip proving that he can make it look like he's using it, but he's actually not. And if that's the case, well, why can't you just do it anyway and say you're doing what Shotzi's doing? It's honestly kind of chaos, and, well, I guess the ideal world for Crimsix and the pros would be that there was some sort of, you know, some sort of setting from Infinity Ward in the game that you could turn this off for the competitive playlist. But it doesn't look like that's coming anytime soon either. Get this from Clayster as well, so with the, well, the mouth zipped shut, doesn't want to say anything more today, but, well, they certainly came out a few minutes ago. And just to finish off the video as well, Crim does say, I've already seen enough tournament VOD that looks like people are using it, but I can't prove it. So he thinks people are using it already, as we just discussed. Intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. Predictions video coming out later today, along with this Censor potentially signing for Triumph GG stuff that may be announced later today. Thanks for watching as always. Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. I will see you next time.